My first guest is from Ramallah, where the Palestinian Authority in the West Bank is. Professor Dalal Iriqat is Associate Professor Diplomacy at the Arab American University in Palestine. Appreciate your joining us, ma'am. Do you believe that this peace plan announcement by Donald Trump, claiming that both sides have agreed to the first phase, a release of the hostages, Israel agreeing to a ceasefire, will it hold? Or is there simply too much mistrust on both sides for any truce to be truly durable in Gaza, ma'am?
Well, thank you very much. The message is on behalf of the Palestinian people that everybody is optimistic. However, our optimism is very, very cautious. Very cautious because of the lessons learned. Very cautious because of the past experiences and the most recent experience with the latest ceasefire agreement that we saw in the beginning of the year, where Israel continues to breach and violate every agreement. So are we optimistic? Yes, we are. Are we positive? Yes, we are. Are we happy that the sufferings of the Palestinian people in Gaza will stop? Yes, we are. Are we happy that the ceasefire will take place and the genocide in Gaza will be put to a halt and that the hostages will be released? Yes, I think every Palestinian is happy and welcoming the deal. However, our optimism and pleasure and welcoming is cautious because we don't know what kind of guarantees do we have, whether from the American side or the mediators from Qatar, Egypt, or Turkey, that would really put Israel responsible to respecting and abiding by the agreement and not after the release of the hostages coming back to raid and invade and
So what you're saying, can I summarize what you just told me? Are you saying that once the hostages who are in Hamas captivity are released, you still retain the fear that Israel could violate the ceasefire, resuming the Gaza bombings? Is that your concern, which is why you're telling us there is cautious optimism? Because the Israelis have been saying they don't trust Hamas, that Hamas will be the one who will resort to terror attacks soon.
Well, this is a pretext. This is just a pretext, an excuse that they use for their terror state act. Because let's be honest, Gaza is 2 million civilians. Half of those people are children. Gaza, but for the past 2 years, 1 million children were put under the Israeli missiles and rockets and shelling. The pretext is Hamas. The pretext that they are targeting Hamas, that they are weakening Hamas. And look, they are negotiating with Hamas at the table now. Hamas, in a very blunt and serious statement, televised statement, said a couple of days ago that they are into the two-state solution and that they want peace and that they want the negotiations to hold and that they want to engage and be responsible to the maximum points. The problem is not Hamas. Let's all remember, and this is another message to the Indian audience who are watching. The Palestinian cause is in existence for the past almost 8 decades. Israel came and evicted the Palestinian people who became refugees and installed the state of Israel on the lands of the Palestinians. Ever since then, the Palestinians have been suffering from extrajudicial killings, from confiscations of land, annexation, settler colonial projects, settler terrorism on daily basis, let alone apartheid and genocide and war crimes. It is Israel, the military occupation of Israel against the Palestinian people. That
Professor Iriqat, you're calling the Israelis a terror state. They in turn say Hamas is the terror group that was responsible for the October 7, 2023 massacre. Therefore, they say disarmament of Hamas and the setting up of a transitional authority to govern Gaza with international stakeholders is the way forward. Do you agree that Hamas has to be disarmed and an international body has to, in a way, supervise any transitional arrangement in Gaza? That's the only way to, at least for now, ensure some kind of peace?
I don't disagree if we will have enough guarantees that Israel will not start another war. That is just today, Smotrich, who is one of the most powerful ministers in the Israeli cabinet, just said today, right after the release of the hostages, we will shell and rock Gaza again. So this is an official from the Israeli cabinet saying that. So for me, if you ask me, I don't mind if Israel says whatever it wants. However, from a legal perspective and from a diplomatic angle, Israel is a state in the international world order. We can never compare the obligations and the responsibilities of a state to a non-state actor. Whether Hamas is doing right or wrong is the job of the ICC and the ICJ. Why doesn't Israel let the international investigation commissions and teams to go into Gaza and find out who is really the terrorist and who is really the criminal and who should be held accountable? Why wouldn't they let the legal tools take their responsibility and implement their jurisdiction?
Are you saying, therefore, that the only durable solution from your point of view is a two-state solution, because that is not part of the Trump plan? And are you saying that, therefore, given the mistrust that exists between the two sides, you fear a resumption of hostilities unless the two-state plan is agreed upon? Am I right?
Well, the two-state solution is the best-case scenario. If we are looking at a sustainable strategic peace and security for all, for the Palestinians, for the Israelis, and for the region. However, I live in the West Bank. I was born in Jerusalem. I live in Ramallah. I grew up in Jericho. Today, I witness the intensification level of settlements. There is, from a geopolitical perspective and realpolitik perspective, Israel did not leave any room for the two-state solution. Let alone also the blockages and the checkpoints, but settlements. So the geography of the land doesn't really allow for a Palestinian state to exist, let alone the territorial contiguity or, the freedoms or the rights. Israel is ongoing with its ethnically cleansing of the Palestinian people. The settler colonial project is ongoing. Evictions orders are all over the West Bank and East Jerusalem, forced displacements, let alone, of course, the project that is being carried out in Gaza under a genocidal war. Israel can continue to claim that they are waging this war against Hamas or against whatever quote-unquote terrorists. The reality has been witnessed for over 70 years. Israel is the occupying power. Israel had weaponized all the settlers in the West Bank. Israeli soldiers are protecting the Israeli settlers today as they attack the Palestinian civilians.
Let me, Joe, ask you one last question. Donald Trump, do you believe he should get the Nobel Peace Prize if this peace plan goes through? Has he played, in your view, the role of an honest mediator between the two sides, or do you also mistrust Trump and Trump and America?
Listen, I truly hope that he gets the prize, because I'm really praying that we will see peace, a sustained peace, that he will be able to guarantee that peace for all people. He had said that we will be fair to everyone. However, in his statement this morning, he did not mention the Palestinians. He mentioned Israel, he mentioned the Arabs. But I really hope that he gets the prize. However, we want him to be the guarantor. If you're looking at the American administration as a broker or as a mediator, I want to look at the case study of negotiations and at the US being the brokering party for the past decades. Had they played the honest broker part? No. I mean, confirmed biases were there. In his past administration, he sidelined the Palestinians totally. I hope that the lessons learned from this case is that the Palestinian party must come as a primary party to the table, and that Trump really will win the prize, but will also be the guarantor, not only the peacemaker, but the person who is capable and who will guarantee that this peace for the Palestinians, for the Israelis alike, to be sustainable, and that those hostilities will not be recycled, and that the war crimes will stop against the Palestinian people.
Okay, you're calling it war crimes, ethnic cleansing, genocide, and you expect much more from the US president. I appreciate you joining us there, ma'am, from Ramallah.